Welcome to Too Deep, Hokies Under the Influence. And it is Virginia Tech. This isn't some rinky-dink-ass program.
Come on, JC.
We're going to put this old guy in the grade. We'll go over some of the stats really fast.
What's the percent?
11.
It's an 11 game.
Welcome to Too Deep, Hokies Under the Influence, a Sons of Saturday podcast. This is a live edition. Sam, it's NFL draft night, the first round, the first day of the draft. You got an early pick. Your team, the Brownies, got an early pick tonight. How you feeling?
Don't we always? This is, hey, a few months ago, we were sitting about here for your Super Bowl. This is my Super Bowl. This is when the Cleveland Browns start to shine.
Yeah, right. So why don't you give us a cheers? Kick this night off for us.
Oh man, that's kind of what my cheers is too. Like, everyone's undefeated today. Everyone is going to feel like they made good picks, hopefully. And it's a really fun night. I love the draft, even when it's not about the Browns. Like, I think it's really cool and it's fun. It's unique. Like, no other sport has this. It's so cool. So I'm a big fan of the draft.
I totally neglected to pour my beer. I'm all out of sorts, man. I literally signed on like a second ago, as Sam can verify. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. I got two good ones for tonight.
I got at least one good one, but I'm starting off with one of my favorite fridge beers, just the Sierra Nevada. We got some guys riding bikes on stage. Yes, this is our live draft show. We did it last year, and last year was more of a who do we expect to get taken a year from then, which would be tonight, because we had really no one that was going to go in the draft last year. This year, lots of options. No first rounders, probably, but lots of options nevertheless. And we're going to talk about them, where they could go, when they could go, and all that good stuff. We had some guys leave. We had some guys come into the program this week, so we'll get to all that in a second.
We'll sprinkle it in. There'll be plenty of downtime.
And then we're going to go over like the prospect rankings for the guys and how they could contribute to certain teams. We also have guests coming on from a handful of NFL teams. We got a Panthers fan. We got a Steelers fan. We got Sam with the Browns, myself, the Eagles. And of course, we're going to cover the Commanders as well with our friend Brett, who's going to come on a little bit later because the Commanders, for the first time in a while, Sam, are picking late in the draft.
That's got to be weird for them. It would be weird for me. So, but yeah, they are kind of one of the team's favorite to grab some Hokies. So they'll be interesting to talk about.
Yeah, they always seem to have – we see that all over the NFL where NFL teams will pick from quote-unquote local schools. It happens time and time again. And proximity plays a factor. And so the Commanders over the years and the Redskins have selected a lot of Hokies. They could potentially take some Hokies this weekend. I'm going to put the panel up on the screen. I asked these questions to our guys this week. I think we got 7 or 8 responses here. And you can see the teams that guys thought might draft more than one Hokie. We got who guys think are going first and who guys think will have the best career in the NFL. And I think I was the only person on this list, Sam, that put the same first Hokie taken as best career. I think everyone else picked somebody else, which is interesting that maybe what we think the pundits will do is different than our own opinions for a lot of us. Now, for me, I put Strong as the first Hokie taken. If you remember this, Sam, too, last year when we did this, we both said Dorian Strong would probably be the first Hokie off the board in 2025.
Yeah. I thought he was like late first, early second. I think he had a really good year. It's just no one threw to him. Like, he didn't have the crazy numbers. And I also thought, how Tech played as a team maybe hurt his popularity a bit, but I think he's going to get drafted. I think he's going to have a really good career.
One thing I also found interesting about this list, I asked the round that the first Hokie would be taken in. So even if your name was wrong for the first Hokie he's taken, what round is the first guy going to go in? And everyone in our group said second round or third round. No one went fourth round. I was like this close to picking fourth round because I feel like Hokies tend to drop. Now, there are the exceptions. When the Edmonds brothers both went in the first round, Terrell, that was very unexpected that he was a first rounder. But historically, when we have these, maybe our guy will pop into the third, like Macho dropped. There's been a lot of like high profile Hokies that have dropped in the draft. So there's potential that the first one could go in the fourth. But if you're telling me first 100 picks ish, I feel good about one of our guys going in the first 100 picks.
Yeah, I do. I definitely think, Bashal Tutin is the kind of running back that like screams third round running back, and that's why I put it up there. But I also know this is a really strong running back class, so like he might drop. I think the one that is really interesting is Jalen Lane. Like he's the one that has been the, draft sleeper pick. Oh, hey, you want to hear about somebody no one's talking about? Jalen Lane out of Virginia Tech. Like a lot of people like him. I think on the Cover 3 podcast, they made the comp to Santonio Holmes. So that's a pretty good NFL comp if you want one. I think he's really interesting. I could see him going to a team and being like, who the heck is this guy out of preseason games? Like just his style of play, the way he plays. I could see him being a preseason warrior this year.
Absolutely. And the special teams ability. And I was listening to Mel Kiper on the First Draft podcast. I think it's Greeny, Kiper, and Field Yates. And they did their top 10 mock. And I'm listening to it just for the sake of tonight and everything. And then they get to the end of the top 10 and they're like, okay, give us one guy in the draft you think could like break out or is a sleeper that you like. And Mel Kiper picked Jalen Lane. Like of all the potential play, like he only talked about 10 of the top 10 guys. And then he said Jalen Lane after that. Not that he's going to go 11, just that that's a guy he likes. And he talked about the special teams ability and that punt returning could get him onto an NFL roster earlier than other guys.
Especially with the new kickoff rule. You can put him on kick return if you feel like you want to put him out there. It's going to be a valuable asset for teams. But Pete, the pick is in for the Tennessee Titans. Goodell is moseying his way out there to a chorus of boos, I'm going to assume. I can't hear it. As is tradition.
While he's making this pick, Sam, I wanted to show off my new hoodie. This is the Too Deep logo on a hoodie. I got one for you sitting over here next to me. Ordered just a handful of these, but heavyweight cotton, the logo. Hopefully you guys like it. If you're interested in one of them, send me a DM and we'll work something out. Cam Ward is the pick. It is in.
Good for him. Like I feel like he's a player who used the transfer portal correctly. Like that's what we thought would happen for some guys. Like constantly got better and then went up in programs. Good for Cam Ward.
Did you see the thing on Twitter today of like him as a 0-star next to DJU as like a 5-star?
I didn't know he ran like a triple option in high school.
Yeah.
Like he didn't throw the ball at high school.
And Ward, we witnessed his upside, his ability to just make something out of nothing. Now he can make nothing out of something too. As you said, you've called it the oopsie daisy, the whoopsie daisy, whatever it is. He's one of those quarterbacks who will make just the stupid mistake. But he has a playmaking ability unlike any other quarterback in this draft and the size to go with it. Oh, Jacksonville has moved up. What are they? You're out of the pick, Sam. No Browns at 2. It could be, they wanted an offensive playmaker, so Hunter does make sense. But there's really, in my head, there's 2 elite prospects, right? Or 3 if you include Genty. So Hunter, Carter, and Genty. But the 4th elite prospect, who do you think that I'm thinking of from an offensive standpoint? It was like another elite prospect.
I don't know. I don't know.
Tyler
right now.
Warren. Tyler Warren. Guy.
They don't need a tight end though.
They don't. No, he's not going to go at 2. But when I think of like elite at their position, there's like 4 guys in this draft that are elite at their position.
So yeah.
They want a weapon.
They need wide receiver.
And the question is, with Hunter, do you think the playing both sides of the ball is feasible? And even if it is feasible, how many years does it actually happen for?
I think he's a freak. I think he could do it for like a decade.
Really?
Like I think he's insane. Everything we've heard about him from like trainers is that he has unlimited stamina. That he does not get tired. He did all of this, Pete, in Boulder.
Yeah, that's true.
So
at elevation.
He might have superpowers playing in Jacksonville. We don't know. But like the ball skills, the spacing, the route running, like I really wanted him. I really
never
wanted Travis
seen
Hunter at this point.
anyone since like the 60s do this, really,
Mm-mm.
right? I mean,
Not in modern.
Dion
Not
played a couple snaps at wide out here and there, but not full games by any means.
not in the modern spread game have we ever seen a player like.
No.
Gosh, I hate losing out on Travis Hunter. That's a really good haul, though.
We were finishing our conversation on the panel here, Sam, and let's go to the second round thing for the first Hokie taken. Do you think? How likely do you think that is? Because neither me or you selected second round, but BRM and Coach did. Do you think that one of our guys pops in the second round? And if so, who could possibly
It
go
would
up that high?
have to be Tootin. Somebody would have to fall in love with Bashal Tootin,
Yeah.
which is possible. Like he's like, I think in another year, Bashal Tootin's a second round running back. I don't know about with this class because you have Judkins and Henderson and Genty.
Such a good class.
Gosh, who else do you have? Dylan Sampson,
Hampton,
Cam Scadaboo, Omarion Hampton, like a lot of really good players.
And the kid from Iowa, Spencer, like it's
Caleb Spencer.
It's loaded with guys. Now on the Ringer, Danny Kelly had Tootin as his 69th overall prospect, which would put him right on that end of the second round line, like right there if he was the 69th overall pick or somewhere in that vicinity. So that's interesting. But if it's going to be a guy for the Hokies that goes in the second round, it would have to be Lane or Tootin, in my opinion, because Lane's been moving up boards as well.
Yeah. I think if they were to redo last season again, I think there's a world where a guy like Jalen Lane is taken second round, or where a guy like Dorian Strong is taken second round, right? Like we talked about.
Our guys here, we talked about Lane and Tootin, but if the highest guy could be taken, those would be my guess. The reason I chose Strong is because I just feel like there's a floor for him, and that someone when the rubber meets the road is like not going to be able to pass his productivity and lockdown ability in college up. And so if Tootin were to drop or Lane were to drop, I just felt more comfortable saying Strong is a third rounder.
What about APR? Like,
it's the size thing, I guess.
Could you play him at an outside linebacker in a 3-4?
I mean, he's an edge, right? He's not a D end. They call them edges now. That's pretty much how the NFL and all of college is treating these guys. So he's not just put into the defensive end bucket. And I do think that for him to be successful, he has to go to the right scheme that suits his abilities. But he's got a lot of ability. I mean, when he got to Tech, he was instantly good. I know he had played and developed a little bit at Florida, but like JC Price's coaching, he was instantly good when he got to Tech.
Mm-hmm.
And that type of like, when a guy's just good, he's probably going to have a pretty good NFL career. And you look at the list here, the same two guys that said our earliest Hokie would go in the second round said the best career would be APR. And that was Billy Ray and Coach Holmes. They both said APR would have the best NFL career. I put Strong again, like I said. I feel like corners from Virginia Tech have shown a long history of lasting in the NFL. So that's why I went with Strong. But if APR catches on, and we'll ask Coach when he comes on with us a little bit later, what his thoughts on why he chose APR. He could. I mean, and that's the thing about our five guys that we think are going to get drafted, because that's how many all of us chose.
I think
except for
all
Coach.
five. I think.
And Coach might have forgotten a guy. He might be thinking 5 too.
I think all five of the guys have like places in the NFL. You know, I don't think there's a player of the 4 to 6, whatever, that don't seem to be fitting that level of football, right? Like I think Aeneas Peoples, like, a little undersized, but look at his hands, look at his spin move, look at his, instincts. Dorian Strong, like maybe didn't, have the all conference year. Maybe he never had the like crazy statistic year that we thought he was going to have and break out, but he's a lockdown corner. You can put him in man and he'll do great.
He could also play slot.
Lane doing great. APR is a monster. Yeah. Like you feel pretty good about a lot of these guys. And I think somebody else that we've heard talked about like today for some reason, with Jalen Jones, like tested out really, really
I don't
well.
know what to make of that tweet. Like, where did that come from?
Well, see, I heard like right after his pro day, everyone was like, dude, he's testing really well. Like his 40, his vert, his long jump, all of it.
Let's bring in Coach while we discuss Jalen Jones just a little bit here.
There we are.
There
you go. Now we can hear you.
All right.
How you feeling tonight, big guy?
Oh, man, doing great. Doing great. Loving life.
You can see Mike's got the Panthers hat on. His Carolina Panthers are picking here in just a little bit.
Abdul Carter to the Giants. It's a good pick.
As expected.
Great pick. That's going to be the best edge rusher they've had probably since the guy blew his hand off.
JPP.
Well, I mean, him and Kevon Thibodeau is a pretty good.
Justin Tuck. Yeah, I mean, the Giants have a history of edge rushers, going back to LT and whatnot. But I don't like the fact that he's going to be in the Eagles division. I'll tell you that right now. And he is a huge Eagles fan, as is Abdul Carter. But hopefully it'll be one of those things where we can bring him home like we did Saquon in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, but he's a guy that's, you're talking a 10-year guy that is just going to be at least just a terror for the next decade. If he can stay healthy.
Yeah, if he can stay healthy, he has Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Bosa levels of ceiling. Like you're getting a perennial all-pro potentially. I thought, like I talked to Pete earlier, Coach. I think you were still on, but there were times this year I thought he was the best player in college football.
Absolutely.
We were just discussing some of the Hokies prospects going through the panel, and I was asking Sam, who's going to have the best career, this and that. And when you answered the question in the panel, you said APR. And I was curious as to why you think Antoine Powell-Ryland will have the best NFL career of all of our Hokies in this draft.
I honestly, I think it's just because of his position versatility. Yeah, I think he can do. I think he's an edge guy that if he gets into the right system mix, there's just so many. There's not a whole lot of teams that play a true 4 down lineman system anymore. But so many teams are playing that 3 down lineman, but they carry those swing guys, and they use that 4 down lineman in a rotation. Depending on the personnel that they use, the team that they're playing, if they play a team with that run a lot of 2 tight end personnel, or they play a team that uses an H-back a lot, they'll run a lot of 4 down lineman fronts, and for that particular week, they'll maybe bring a guy up, they'll activate him, and they'll use him in a 4 down lineman scheme to bring an extra guy to put his hand down. And that's a team that, if they play in a division where they play a team twice that uses that personnel, I think that's a guy that they'll look at. And honestly, be able to get a guy like that in the 4th or 5th round, that's going to have motor for days, that's got incredible strength for the size that he has. Honestly, he's Corey Moore. And by the way, talk about a guy that was 25 years too late or too early. He's very Corey Moore-ish as far as size, strength, and it's a guy that can just go, and he can be on special teams. He's going to be a guy that can be used on kickoff. He can go on punt. He can be on punt block. He can be on field goal block. He can be on every single special team that you have, and position versatility. And he could probably do that for 10 years. So I think he's a guy that can, and he may not be with the same team, but he could be able to do that for over, for a decade.
And it just made me realize something too, Mike. When you go by pedigree, and some of these teams, they do look into the 247 rankings, the high school, the prep ratings, and APR of all of our guys is far and away the best pedigreed prospect. He came out as a 4-star, and he possesses a lot of those athletic traits that would be at the level of an NFL player. And so it does make some sense that he could potentially be our best pro and or the first guy taken. No one said he'd be the first guy taken, and we got this comment and said, did APR stock go down a lot? I don't think that's necessarily the case because the sack numbers were great. He played really good football. The problem is this draft with defensive linemen is so deep. It's the worst possible year for Peebles and APR to be coming out. Like they're going to get drafted. I would almost guarantee both of them get drafted, but it's just McShay said it's potentially the deepest year in history for defensive line talent. So that's really what's going on with APR and Peebles.
Yeah, when Mason Graham is your standard bearer for the interior defensive line, I mean that's a hard thing to live up to, And then
think about even as
Abdul Carter and Jalen Walker on the ends. Those are your edge rushers that are the standard bearers for the class. That's just difficult.
They're not sure if Ezeraku from BC is going to be a first rounder. And you guys know he put up the numbers and he's got the physical traits too. Like he's a lot bigger than APR.
Well, I think what could also go into it is like there are 2 or 3 of these really good edge players in every single draft. And so I don't know if like a lot of these teams like Jacksonville, like we just talked about Jacksonville, they didn't need to get Abdul Carter. Like they have Abdul Carter at home. They have Josh Allen. Like the Browns, they didn't need Abdul Carter. They have him at home. They have Myles Garrett. So a lot of these teams, especially the ones who are kind of like perennially picking early, they've already gotten these elite edge rushers and they usually hit pretty well. Like there's a pretty high hit rate for these top end edge rushers. So like if it's a stacked class, you're really going to fall down just because teams don't need 3 pass rushing specialists,
So Mike, I need to ask you this. You put 4 Hokies that you expect to be drafted. And I'm going to name 5 guys: Lane, Strong, Tootin, Peebles, and APR. Mm-hmm. Do you think all 5 of those guys get drafted? Was that a typo, or do you think one of those guys falls out of the draft?
Honestly, I think if anybody falls out, unfortunately, I think it's Peebles.
Really?
I think Peebles is going to be a guy that is somebody who makes a roster as a UDFA and has a really good camp and ends up making a roster. And I think it's because he had, like as Sam was saying earlier, because I was listening in backstage, but he's got really good moves. He's got really good physical skills. His hands are good. He's got really good spin move on the interior. But again, he falls into that tweener category. He's not quite big enough in the modern scheme of where most guys play that 3-man front. For the most part, he's a little too undersized to play the 1 tech or the nose guard where you're playing in that A gap. And he's not quite quick enough to play that 3 technique where you're playing in the B gap, where that Aaron Donald mode. So he's just in that tweener. But
he was very disruptive this year.
He is very disruptive, but you're also talking about being very disruptive in an ACC where they're not the greatest offensive lines. So it is 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other there.
Does that spin move work against an NFL guard? Like, I think that's a question a lot of scouts probably asked about him. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was looking at the ESPN rankings, Daniel Jeremiah, like whoever I could find on ratings for some of our guys, Peebles was an average ranking of 127 in the draft, the 18th ranked defensive tackle on ESPN, which would put him at 135 overall. So if you go by the mock consensus and by ESPN, Peebles looks like he'll be safely drafted, but there are reasons to be concerned that he could drop. Absolutely. Yeah. He could also be the first guy taken for the Hokies. I feel like it is really, it is like very wide open for the first Hokie and who it could be. It just depends on who a team falls in love with.
Yeah, and it could very well be a crapshoot. And again, who knows? But yeah, it's just one of those things. Yeah, but
the other guys that are trying to get drafted would be Daquan Felton, Stephen Gosnell, Keontae Jenkins, Josh Fuga, Will Panay. I think the thought
Jalen
here
Jones.
is Jalen Jones and Jalen Jones. True. I need to mention Jalen Jones now because there was that tweet earlier that talked about his 40 time being really good and him testing really well at Pro Day. And Sam mentioned it. Do you think that was that like I'm really kind of confused as to where that came from, Mike, because we had not been hearing anything about Jalen Jones being an NFL prospect. Do you think that he lands on a team with a tryout? Like, I don't think he'll actually get drafted.
No, I don't think he'll get drafted either. But I think he's definitely an undrafted free agent type of guy, and I think that he's a position versatility guy. He's a former receiver, so he's got good ball skills. I think I said this in the group chat earlier, but he's got, being a former receiver, so he can track down the ball. He's had enough time, being on the defense. And we give our defensive secondary a lot of grief, being Hokie fans. But the problems in our secondary go way beyond just being able to cover guys. They had to do so much more, getting caught with eyes in the backfield. Most of that was because of the problems that we had up front with being able to stop the run. And so you can't really put it all on them. They're asked to do things that are normally what secondary guys aren't supposed to be doing. And so it messed with their tendencies a lot. So, you can't really put it all on them but you saw in a lot of games that when the defensive front seven were doing their job, the secondary was on lockdown, and those guys played really well. From Mose Phillips, Jalen Jones, all of them, they all played really, really well. So there is film that these guys can see of these guys, showing out and playing the way that they probably should in that scheme. I think that, you see them on Pro Day, you see they have the physical skills and the tools. So there is a chance that, he could end up on a roster, and usually what they'll do is that's usually geographically based. They'll find guys so he could end up with the Panthers, could end up with the Commanders, could at Falcons,
somewhere local,
somewhere local, and get a undrafted tryout and make a practice squad, and who knows what happens after that. Could have a great camp.
Will Campbell was just taken by the Patriots. We'd been hearing that Vrabel was in love with that kid and really wanted to take him. So that's what happens for the Patriots. Now, Sam's team is up. Cleveland is on the clock. Maybe they'll pick this time. We will see.
Says the pick is in.
The pick is in. While we are waiting for that, Sam, I mentioned Felton to coach.
Mm-hmm.
He would be the sixth guy, at least in our heads, I think, the sixth guy that could get taken if we had a great Hokie draft. Maybe Felton would slide in there. What's the likelihood in your mind of Daquan Felton getting drafted, and why?
I just don't know if you have like the film out there, can you put together a 3-minute highlight film for Daquan Felton at Virginia Tech? I don't know if you can. You see all the traits and you do see some of the plays, but it's just, we didn't see the production this year. And I don't know how much production we saw last year. And so for me, it's like, he is the prototypical wide receiver you bring in as an undrafted free agent because of the skill set, because of the size. And you hope hey, if we can get him in here and teach him route running, then we have.
He's an athletic freak for sure. He needs some help with hands and route running and various other things. I think you could grab some clips from the Syracuse game. I think you could grab that clip from the Stanford game, put some things together on Felton
from Pitt a couple of years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And he could grab a spot in the 7th round. However, I said 5 Hokies because I don't believe Felton will be drafted. Mm-hmm. And I do think that if you're talking about guys who could land, Sam's pick is here, and I'll leave that as a tease.
Yeah.
Who is it, Sam?
Wow. Mason Graham.
Nice.
I told you it was an interesting one.
And that was they had that one. They knew exactly who they were going to get if they traded back.
That's a really
That's a pick for the future.
First off, pick for the future. They needed interior defensive line. Like that was outside of quarterback. It's probably team need number 2.
Mhm.
I know this guy is like massive. He looks like one of my little cousins, like in the face. Like he just looks like a kid.
The ceiling is so high. Like it is so high. A couple games he didn't show up.
I do like the double nickel. I've always been a fan of that jersey.
My dad's number was 55.
That's awesome.
Did not look like Mason Graham. But
well, you know who else went to Michigan and was named Graham and played a similar position? Brandon Graham. And his Instagram name is Sack55. And he's a Philadelphia favorite. He just retired this year finally. But Brandon Graham was the man. And this guy is the plays they're showing for Mason Graham.
He's insane. Like
I'm going to add Robert to the screen. And then we're going to talk a little bit of Panthers here because the Panthers are coming up. What's up going on, Robert? How you doing, man?
What's going on? Yeah, I had to look alive here. I was starting to doze off.
You never know when you're going to get the call.
Been in the room for a minute.
What's going on, Murphy? How you doing, bud?
Oh,
yeah, so Mike is the Panthers fan, used to live in North Carolina grew up there, lived there for a long time. Robert's in Charlotte. So Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're looking for the Panthers in terms of their needs and what you hope they grab here in a couple picks?
Honestly, I think we'll end up now that Mason Graham's off the board. That's kind of who I was hoping would drop to us. Didn't think he would. I think if we keep the pick, I think we'll go with Jalen Walker from Georgia. If he drops to us, there's only 2 picks left. I would also like to see us get Tyler Warren. We have been missing a tight end since Greg Olsen. That would be such a weapon for Bryce Young, who had kind of a resurgent year towards the end of the year last year after he got benched. When he came back towards the end of the year last year, played very, very well.
Turnaround for Bryce Young was astounding. And they were playing much different brand of football. If you give him a guy like Tyler Warren, that's a quarterback's best friend there. If you're not talking about a running back, you're talking about the best friend being a tight end. And Warren's unbelievable. That'd be a really fun pick.
We'll see.
Mike, can I make the case for Tet McMillan?
Yeah, I do like Tet McMillan. I would say though an edge rusher at this point is like Jalen Walker would be too good to pass up at this point.
No, that's fair. But I will say this to you as a fan of an NFC South team. How would you feel if Mike Evans was on your team? Because that's
the comp. Yeah.
That's the ceiling for Tet. And like, I think if you look at like what the Panthers offense is, while I agree that Tyler Warren would be just an awesome player to have in general, I feel like that kind of like safety net, a lot of the Panthers receivers already fit that bill, where Leggett is more of just the hit over the top kind of guy. But even then, he's been a little slower coming on. And I feel like Tet is just that safe option, but can also be a home run guy. He's so versatile. He's so good. He doesn't get separation great. That's like the knock on him. But once he has the ball in his hands, he's great. In traffic, he can go up and get the ball. I think that that's the best fit for Bryce Young based on like, what is available at this pick.
With Ted McMillan, there's a little bit of discrepancy on where they're evaluating him. If you look at Peter Schrager's mock draft, they have him at 19. Big boards, though, are all over the place. Some people have him in the top 15. McShay has him at number 50. 50.
What?
Yes, I've got it. I've got it right here.
I thought he was a beast.
Tedroy McMillan, number 50 on McShay's big board.
So and Noah Fafita wasn't that good this year either.
No, he was getting triple teamed every
like
no quarterback. Like, what do you expect?
If you're like an anti-Tedroy McMillan guy, like you don't watch college football. That's all you're saying to me.
Well, listen, I'm just telling you that the guys who do this for a living, there's discrepancies. And so, and I think the knock is he's not that fast. I don't think he ran at the combine. He's not like an explosive jumper, self-admittedly, not an explosive jumper. Now he's huge, so he doesn't have to jump that high. But there's also is he lazy, that kind of thing. And I think with Tet McMillan, it's going to be, if he goes to a good organization that has good leadership, he's probably going to be really good, especially if he has a decent quarterback. If he goes to a bad organization like Ted McMillan on the Jets, he's not going to do shit. And we all know that. But that's to the next point, just to make a point about Genty here going to the Raiders. Is this not like Barry Sanders going to the Lions 2.0? Like the Raiders is just, they're such a crappy organization. I know they got Brady, at the helm kind of now, and maybe that'll change things. But to me, the Raiders need so much shit. And now they're putting like the Bugatti in the trailer park.
He's going to look so sick in black and silver though.
Yeah.
Oh, he'll sell
Have you thought about that?
A lot of jerseys. Yeah.
Already played in that stadium going against UNLV.
True.
Get him in the airport. Yeah.
I mean,
and I agree with you. So I coached when I was still coaching high school ball. One of my last stops, I coached a kid who's one of the backups at U of A, and the last time I chatted with him, he mentioned McMillan being just one of the guys that kind of took him under his wing, when they were doing workouts, when he got there as a gray shirt. And he's just a very, very, he's a solid dude. So
okay.
I don't think being in a bad environment would necessarily be a negative for him. He seems to have a really good head on his shoulders, type of kid. So, I think he would be.
You're pushing back on the McShay analysis.
Yeah, just from anecdotal.
Yeah,
evidence.
you've got a personal.
But,
you've got a personal story there, so that's cool.
But yeah.
Can let's shift back to the Hokies real quick while we have a second before the Panthers pick. Rob, I was asking these guys about Felton and whether Sam thought that he would get drafted or not. I believe you were in the camp that he would not get drafted. What about a guy like Stephen Gosnell? And I'm not necessarily asking about draft or not. I'm asking about NFL future for a kid like Stephen Gosnell.
I think that he is like your prototypical undrafted free agent that probably impresses people, has a nice, maybe makes a few plays in the preseason and then ultimately ends up being a practice squad guy. And like, that's not bad. I mean, considering where he was when he came into Tech, barely playing at North Carolina, I think that's pretty great. I mean, yeah, I think in terms of like, I feel like he's a great practice squad player in the sense that like, he's just, such a fundamentally sound player. Like you don't want, some jabroni out there screwing up your your matchups here as you're trying to prepare. So that's what I see for him. And maybe like the ceiling is like an Adam Thielen kind of trajectory, but that's 1 in a million.
Hunter Renfrow, maybe
Cooper Kupp.
Mm-hmm. How many other white receivers can we name?
Yeah. But again, it's another one of those. But he's another one of those kids that, granted, he's I coached against him when he was at East Surrey. I was at South Stokes, and ran the triple option. He was a triple option quarterback, and he completely dislocated his elbow against us. And came back from that, and this was week 3, so he didn't get to play much at all his senior year of high school, and then comes back from that, goes to Chapel Hill, then doesn't get to play much at all, and then transfers to Tech. So he and then the rest is history. The rest is Hokie history.
Do you want to do a quick beer break while we're
waiting for the Panthers pick to come in? Why don't we do it? Sam, what do you got over there?
From our good friends in Charlottesville, but our good friends at Three Notched Brewing Company. This is the Mango Wheat. It is admittedly crushable wheat beer with slightly sweet, juicy mango. Only 4.8%, 12 IBUs. Really, really good. If you're into mango and you're into wheat, it's pretty darn perfect. It actually, like a lot of beers, tastes like artificial fruit. Like artificial orange, lemon, mango. This tastes like you're biting into a mango. It's really, really, yeah.
3 Notch is good stuff. Yeah,
that's a good brew.
There, yep. This is really crushable. So if it
have you had the mango cart? Yeah, it's a very popular beer. Have you had that?
Golden Road? Golden Road.
Yeah. How does that compare to the mango cart?
This is more mango. So the mango cart tastes like something that's flavored mango. Still very
Yes,
good. This
yes.
tastes like a mango.
Okay.
Mango
That
cart
makes
is
sense.
basically the mango blue moon of
Yeah, it is.
beer.
You know what
Yes.
though? I do enjoy a mango cart every now and again.
I'm done with it.
I'm not
It's pretty
afraid
good.
to say it.
You and every woman in Charlotte.
Fair enough. I've been had. All right. Mike, you said you're drinking tequila soda over there?
Yep. To my boy, the final boss. Got a little Terramana and Yeho.
Nice.
Yep. For the
Like to see it. Robert, what
for
do
the
you have?
cats.
I'm drinking tequila soda as well, but I would instead like to highlight, to keep with the brand, I'll highlight a beer that I have been drinking that's in my fridge right now, and it's from Highland Brewing in Asheville. Very, very, very high quality brewery, one of the best in North Carolina, and it is their cerveza, their seasonal cerveza. So it's a Mexican lager, a Mexican lime lager. And I think that, ultimately the goal of those types of beers is it's supposed to taste like if you took a Corona or a Modelo and you put a lime in it, it's supposed to already taste like the lime is in it. And a lot of the ones I've had in the past are almost too limey, where it's almost teetering on sour, which I don't care for sours. But this, I think, threads the needle perfectly, and I'm a huge fan. And it ultimately just tastes like a higher quality. I'd drink it over a Corona. I might even drink it over a Modelo, as blasphemous as that sounds. Very, very high quality. I mean, it's probably over a 4 for me in terms of rating. Very good.
That
Which
was
one did you say it was?
Mexican.
Highland?
The Highlands Brewing Cerveza.
How would you have you had the Stone Buenaveza?
I have not.
That's like the salt
I've had
and
that
lime.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's solid.
That's
There's a lot of them out there, right? A lot of
Yeah.
lime beers started by Bud Light Lime. Or do you guys remember the Miller Chill, who actually got that whole thing going?
Yeah.
It's a genre of beer that I haven't super gotten into, which is weird because I love like the Bud Light Lime on the beach and then margaritas and stuff. I haven't really gotten into like the salted margarita Mexican lager side of beer. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe that'll be my next personal growth venture.
I'll review my beer in 1 second. The Panthers selection is in, and Goodell
All right.
is making the announcement. Oh, I'm ahead of you guys.
They went Tet. Okay. All right.
Ted McMillan, the guy
Herbs.
we had a
There you
lot of
go.
conversation about right there.
I'm
There
glad
we
I
go.
pitched. Yeah, look at me, Nostradamus over here.
Yeah,
There we
man.
go.
It's got to be. I understand. It might be as basic as like, hey, Bryce Young, if you're ever in some trouble, just throw it up to that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just
It's-
he's your safety valve.
It feels
at
like a
wide
good
receiver.
pick. It really does.
It
Yeah.
almost, it might even be more basic, Sam, of as simple as David Tepper saw a comparison to Mike Evans and was like, I have to have that guy.
Yeah.
I'm
Somebody-
tired of being
somebody who could-
terrorized by Mike Evans.
I mean,
That
if he
somebody
has
that can maybe get
60%
1,000
of the
yards
career
for
of Mike Evans,
10
it's a good
consecutive
pick.
years. Yeah.
Crazy.
That's well, I mean, that guy's been, especially because I mean, all the mock drafts had him going to the Bucks at 19. Is like Mike Evans is fixing to retire. We can't have them get another guy that could potentially be doing that for another 10 years.
Just an endless
that-
bank of Mike Evanses.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy.
Got off one
Um,
head, 2 more shall take their place. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're
I mean-
feeling good then, Mike. You feel good.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. So, I mean, you go back-to-back first rounders, Xavier Legette, him, and you're going to have Adam Thielen. I would feel pretty safe having 1, 2, and 3 with that guy. And I know you guys probably don't follow the Panthers, but they had another guy last year that was kind of a breakout, number 4, named Jalen Coker, who
We all
came
play
out.
fantasy
Coker's
football,
awesome.
so
Oh, yeah.
we know
Yeah.
their
But-
names.
Come on.
Came out, but I mean, he had a little breakout year last year. Got banged up a little bit towards the end of the year, but had a breakout year last year, and he's back. So they have 4 receivers to be able to help Bryce out, and they re-signed Tommy Trimble out of Notre Dame at tight end. So the cupboard's not bare at tight end.
With Sanders too, right?
Yeah, and he'll be back. Sanders from Texas brought him back. So so again, not there, and then they can use the rest of the draft to fill out on defense. They have 8 more picks in the next 4
And there's
rounds.
so many good defenders in this draft. Like they can load up now in the later rounds. That's awesome, man. Let's see if Brett is in the. I don't think we have Brett in our pool yet here.
Before the Saints pick, can I ask a Saints related question?
Yeah.
No, I do not know who the next pope is going to be.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Contavious Caldwell. I saw that on Twitter. I can't take credit for that.
That was so bad.
So Herb is that your team, Herb Saints?
The Matt.
Is that your?
Oh no. I'm just asking because
he's a Steelers guy.
Oh, that's right.
That's
That's right.
Going quarterback here. Do we think they're going quarterback?
I thought they would be a quarterback heavy team, and then there's been no draft buzz about
Let
it.
me put this big board.
Especially with the Carr injury.
Do y'all know who the last first round quarterback the Saints have taken is? Anyone know this? I'll give you a hint. It's the longest streak that a team has gone without drafting a first round quarterback.
Kenny Stabler?
Archie Manning.
Archie Manning.
Wow.
Wild.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Like,
That
do
really
they
is
break
crazy.
that 50 plus year trend for Jackson Dart?
No.
Are they gonna?
No way.
Are they gonna go Derek Carr? I mean, are they gonna ride Derek Carr? Like
Derek Carr's
Spencer
hurt
Rattler.
right now too, right?
Well, yeah. He
I think
And he
I
also
would-
sucks. So
Right.
Yeah.
like he's terrible.
that
But
franchise.
I mean, but are they gonna take Derek Carr? I mean, are they gonna take Jackson Dart over if Shador Sanders is on the table?
I mean, isn't Shador kind of Drew Brees 2.0 in a way? Like not the strongest arm, but savvy, tough. Like he kind of
They-
has some breezy qualities in my
that's
head.
a ceiling for sure.
He needs a Sean Payton though.
Little
Well,
taller.
ceiling
that's
is
true.
NFL career passing leader.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, yeah, maybe that's the skyline above the ceiling.
well, that's not
the airplane flying over the.
I'm not talking about the achievements. I'm talking about just like Breeze coming out and Shador coming out. Like not so dissimilar.
Yeah,
But,
Shador is 100% the most NFL ready out of all of the quarterbacks, as far as being able to put the ball where it needs to be. If there's a clean pocket.
Now here's the thing about Shador. Did you guys hear that he like 33% of his passes were at the line of scrimmage that were completed? Like he had a lot of like bailout passes. For one, we know he got sacked a ton, probably held onto the ball too long. I know his offensive line was terrible. I'm not saying that it wasn't, but took a lot of sacks, a lot of completions at the line of scrimmage that were turned into something by athletes. You know, the Bolitnikoff Award winner.
So did Bo Nix, though. So did Bo Nix.
Yeah.
They ran a lot of like RPO bubble route type stuff.
Mhm.
Like if the slot corner dives in on the play action, you
Yeah,
throw
it's
it
an
out
extent.
to the
It's an
bubble.
extension of the run game.
I agree with
Yeah.
Mike's statement, though, that like Shador is a damn good quarterback. And in terms of going out there and running an offense on day one, I would trust him that he could do it. I'm not saying he's going to be amazing, but I do think he's probably, as a quarterback, the most NFL ready. I think I do agree with that. Brett,
Thanks, guys.
welcome. Mike,
See you,
thank you
Mike.
for being here, man. That was great
Appreciate
analysis on the Panthers and on some of our prospects as well.
Yeah.
So we love you. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Appreciate it, guys.
Peace. What's up, Brett? How you doing, man?
Is this thing on?
Yeah, it's you're in here.
There.
We
You have to
have
wipe the dust off that thing, Brett.
we have our
Gee.
Commanders representative wearing camo, so we are ready. We're ready to rock here.
Wait, are you wearing Big Baller Brand right now?
No, it is Triple B, but not Big Baller Brand.
Oh, okay.
She really
like, this
wore
is
that
the
on
NFL
stage.
draft.
She really wore that jacket on stage in front of everybody, didn't she?
So no,
Who
so no-
was that?
I
It's
don't know.
Laura Rutledge and
Oh, it
someone
was
else.
Rutledge. Oh, that was Colleen Wolfe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no Sanders to New Orleans, huh?
I mean, when Schrager put out his mock yesterday and then Sanders dropped to like 21 and a half
Mhm.
in the odds, that was like the moments like, oh crap, like Sanders is not going to go
Yeah.
in the top 10. And
Yeah, I think the
and he did
sportsbooks got killed there with everyone betting the over on 9.5 there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the Bears pick is in. They're picking at number 10. We have Brett here to talk some commies. We got to talk about the Commanders. They had a great year last year. Seems like they finally have their franchise quarterback. they pick in a little bit. We have Rob here. He hasn't even gotten a chance to talk about his Steelers yet. So the four of us are going to hang out for a little bit while we wait for some of these picks to happen, while we talk a little bit of Hokies as well. The Bears pick is in. I want to ask you guys, of the few guys we haven't talked about, because we talked about Gosnell, we talked about Felton, and I'm sorry you missed some of that, Brett, but there's a couple other guys in this draft class who I think might have an NFL future. Keontae Jenkins, Wilfred Panay, and Josh Fuga. And if I'm asking you, Robert, you hear those three names, who's the most likely of those three guys to maybe catch on as an undrafted free agent and play for a team?
It's Jenkins for sure. I feel like he's the prototypical nickel, because I think he was kind of that tweener of a safety and a linebacker. They had him at that star position, which is pretty similar to a nickel, depending on the formation, the formation there and
whatever responsibilities they decide to put on that guy.
So I feel like, and this is low hanging fruit, but whatever Jamari Connor's career is right now with the Chiefs, that's what you want for Jenkins. I'm not saying he's going to get there per se. I don't think he's not quite as fast as Connor, but he's a little bigger. That's the ideal. He's too small to play linebacker, not quite fast enough to play safety. If he can get on as kind of like that tweener and can come in maybe even in some run defense packages, I think he has the best chance. I think Fuga and Panay are both just a little too small to play in the league.
Brett, what are your thoughts on those three guys?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think, Tex had some success, like Daryl Tapp is a good example, but he was kind of like a freak, like real fast interior guy, and Panay and Fuga did a lot for the Hokies, but it's just their game I don't think is going to translate as well in the NFL. As Jenkins has the ability with his athleticism to, maybe make some waves, especially on special teams to start, on coverage plays for sure, on punt coverage. So, or punt block. So, it's just, I think his just athletic ability, as long as he can stay healthy, that's always been his battle in Blacksburg, was staying healthy. And if he's able to do that, I think he does have a shot to make a roster.
Yeah, that's well said. Me and Sam have talked about Jenkins many times, and when he was healthy and playing at his best, it changed our defense for the better, by a mile. He really was a difference maker for us. And I think he could catch on at a handful of different positions. Panay is an interesting study, though, because he's still somewhat inexperienced when it comes to playing football. Mm-hmm. He hasn't played it at a high level and not in the U.S. his whole life or anything like that. And he did start to make strides big time in his last couple of years at VT and contribute. I think if he got in front of the right coach in the right system with an opportunity, he could be on a practice squad. He could get some snaps in preseason and so on and so forth. So, and I love Josh Fuga from being a Hokie forever. He never transferred. He stayed. He was here, started for us, was an important leader for us several different times. So I hope he catches on too. He's definitely got the size from a weight aspect. He's always been a little bit, maybe on the shorter side for a defensive tackle, but all three of those guys, unlike some of the previous years, I think the graduating guys, most of them have worthy of a camp invite, worthy of a tryout, worthy of a preseason roster spot. Whereas there are some guys who are not, most notably on the offensive line. But in years past, it's I don't know if anyone's going to get on a roster. There's a lot of guys who could end up on a preseason roster that we're offering up right now. And one more question for Brett, since he just joined us a second ago. Your commies have a chance to sign one of these two guys to an undrafted free agent contract, Daquan Felton or Stephen Gosnell. Who would you rather sign?
It's a great question. I think we have the outside threat, already, which would be Felton. I think they need a solid pass catcher. That's what, Ertz, he needs a safety. Jalen's had that safety blanket in Ertz all year. And I think Gosnell would fit that mold of having a guy that could be a safety blanket on some underneath routes or some, 5-yard outs, or just kind of finding the soft spot in zones. Whereas Felton, is kind of a run and gun guy. Just let him fly, or, from his athletic ability. And with Debo coming into the fold, you kind of have that, even though he's not as fast or as good as he once was. Him coming in, I think, adds a little bit of that. And then obviously you have Terry as wide receiver 1 on the outside, usually playing the wide side of the field, which Felton usually plays the wide side of the field. So I think Gosnell would be a better fit just solely from like a safety blanket that Daniels needs. It was very clear Zach Ertz was that for him last year.
Oh my God. The playoff game was ridiculous against the Eagles. I mean, Zach Ertz had like 13 catches or something.
Yeah. I mean, it was like that the last, I don't know if any of you guys watched a lot of Commanders games, but I mean, it was like that a lot, especially after he found his rhythm. I mean, most of those fourth down plays, if he wasn't scrambling, were going to Zach Ertz. Yep. Red zone plays, were going to Zach Ertz. And I think, that's what Gosnell, just having another receiver for that would be beneficial.
Didn't Ertz have like one game? It was either the end of the regular season or in the playoffs where he had like 12 catches.
Yeah, that's what Pete was saying.
That was the Eagles game.
Yeah. That was the Eagles game. Okay.
Well, it's because Terry was locked down, couldn't get the ball, couldn't get the ball to him, and then
it was frustrating too because obviously Ertz was an Eagle. He won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, and then he's the only reason the Commanders stayed in the game. And the Commanders shot themselves in the foot in that game a lot in the championship game.
Oh yeah,
but
that was Zach Ertz up the middle.
Keeping that's an old school reference, man. I like that. But yeah, he was the reason the Commanders stayed in that game for a while.
For sure.
I want to. We have a little bit of time before the Steelers pick, and we'll get Rob's analysis on that. Let's talk about the portal, guys. We had entries after the spring game. Now, Sam and I were basically recording when the Davy Belfort news happened, so we talked about that a little bit. But the McDonald brothers hopped in the portal. Braylon Johnson's in there. Webb Davidson and Bob Schick. Bob, we're gonna miss you, buddy. The old veteran. But you look at those names, Rob. Are any of them cause for concern? Do you worry about any of those guys walking out of the program?
Cause for concern? No. It does feel like in all of those situations, it was guys who just didn't stick on the depth chart, probably got passed. I think the players that I'm saddest to see go of that list are definitely the McDonald twins. I thought it was really cool, just having local guys, them both being from Salem. There's a lot of value to your program of if you can find those great local players like Brendan Motley for Tech, made a lot of impact in Southwest Virginia because he was a Christiansburg guy. So you certainly hope for that type of player. And they were both just freak athletes.
And they got nice praise at different points of time from the coaches.
But they ultimately, they're moving around positions all the time. I think under the Fuente regime, one of them might have been lining up at safety maybe. And then it ends where one's a middle linebacker, the other's a defensive end. And it's one got too big, the other, they just couldn't make it work. And it's unfortunate. And they just need to go somewhere where, a coach or coaches, because they're, might not be a package deal, but can have clear vision for what they want them to be and then be able to implement that. I think about a lot Lakeem Rudolph, if y'all remember him.
Yeah.
He's a guy that went all the way from safety to defensive end, and Tech just couldn't find a place to put him. He goes in the transfer portal. He goes to Campbell, and Campbell just had a better vision for him. He's a high-end talent player that was at a Big South school, so it was a good fit there. So I'm hopeful for something like that for them.
Let me ask you this. Does Roanoke start football this season or next season?
They started last year.
Yeah.
No, but did they actually play games?
Oh, yeah.
They had a JV schedule kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They played basically a bunch of JV teams, club teams, that sort of thing.
The McDonald's could do better than that, but from a local aspect, how cool would it be if they ended up on the Maroons and just kicked ass?
I think this is an aside. I'm not to get too into the Southwest Virginia weeds, but I think that pretty much any Southwest Virginia football player that doesn't go D1 will end up at Roanoke. Radford, Christiansburg, Blacksburg, any of the Roanoke schools, wherever.
Cool.
Which I think will be cool.
They were just a little too late for Cole Beck.
I think the perfect landing spot for the McDonald brothers is William and Mary. I could see them John Pius, who just had who went up a level.
Brian Randall was just with Coach Pry. Could there have been a conversation about the McDonald twins or about any of the players that are leaving the program potentially?
Yeah,
Very
happy
cool
for-
that Randall's on staff.
Yeah,
down there now.
Yep.
I mean, he gets to live in his hometown and
Yep.
he gets to coach, so it's really cool.
Definitely.
Back to transfer talk, real quick. This was tweeted out like 30 minutes ago. Hawaii cornerback transfer Caleb Brown plans to visit Virginia Tech, Virginia, and Florida State. Was a starter the last 2 years at Hawaii.
That is a good reason to bring up Colby's table here.
Oh,
Because
that's
you'll
professional.
notice there's some green guys. We got a couple of additions to the spring portal window on the Hokies. The first of which was Cody Huisman, but why don't we call him Heisman? It's close enough. Cody
I think it
Heisman,
is
defensive
pronounced Heisman.
tackle from North Dakota State, 6'4", 283. Honorable mention, all Missouri Valley Conference. He tied for third on the team with 7.5 tackles for loss this past year. This is a nice pickup at defensive tackle, a position where we're replacing at least 2 veterans, including a disruptive Peebles. I feel like this is a really good addition, Sam. I know you're a North Dakota State fan in general. What are your thoughts on Cody?
Any guy that they have developed is probably a guy that you want on your team. And they have a history of line of scrimmage players doing well in the NFL as well. So I think that's really good. Tech needed him from a like rotational defensive line standpoint. Again, defensive tackle is a position that you're going to play 3-4 players a drive sometimes, especially with how kind of JC Price has ran that over the last couple of years. So I think it's really important to get him in there. I kind of see him, Copeland, Laws. Who's the other guy? I'm blanking on his
Gilliam.
name.
Kevin
Gilliam.
KG.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can't talk.
That's your kind of your starting 4. I feel like now, and you also have the kid who transferred in from Hampton, who's a monster. In
Priester,
size.
yeah.
And you have
Priester.
so it's you feel like they've started to build out that room pretty big. It's one that you don't think about needs as many numbers, but it does rotationally.
They definitely do, and they were down. They were down to like 7 DTs, so I think this makes 8. And I believe he will be. Should he be in the 2 deep? Is this a reason to drink? Okay, we're gonna say he could potentially be in the 2 deep. Cody,
I think he is. I think he's in your. I think he's with. I think he's with Laws. As your like.
Okay.
Round 2,
right behind,
DTs.
behind
Mhm.
Copeland and Gilliam. Okay, and then
makes
the
sense.
other guy that we added. Did you have a comment there, Robert?
No, I was just saying that makes sense to what Sam just said.
Gavin Crawford committed to the Hokies today. Offensive lineman from West Virginia. That's right. WVU 2VT is still happening. 6'3", 330, and he just enrolled in January. That is a very, very big early enrollee. What are your thoughts on the addition of Gavin Crawford, Rob?
Well, Sam, what's the name of the town he's from?
You can be my Silver Spring. The song's
Great.
actually Silver Springs, though.
That's okay.
Which, yeah, but it's named after the song's about that town. Or about something happening at that town.
Arguably the best Fleetwood Mac song. If you've never seen the live video performance of her, like Stevie Nicks, like screaming at Lindsey Buckingham, her ex, who she wrote the song about, very good.
Was the B-side of "You Can Go Your Own Way," which Lindsey wrote about Stevie Nicks.
Yeah. To quote
Fleetwood
John Mulaney,
Mac lore in the house.
Yeah, to quote John Mulaney, "Rumors" is an album by and for people cheating on each other. And that was our Fleetwood Mac corner. Gavin Crawford, beast. I think he's a guy. I mean, a lot of potential there. I was surprised that he was only a 3-star coming out of high school, because I just feel like a guy that's already that size at 330 and fairly agile. I feel like that's a pretty good player to have, and trust Matt Moore there. So I think that obviously Tomas Rimac, however you say it, is going to be an instant contributor. But now you have these 3 redshirt freshmen that they brought in you hope that at least two of them are pretty productive. And I think this just increases the odds. And I think I have concerns across the board about our football team, but I feel probably better about our offensive line than I have since Vance Weiss was here. So
Yeah, if you consider the idea that we're trading Bob Schick and Webb Davidson for Gavin Crawford, I'm in, because you said he was a 3-star, but he was a higher end 3-star. Matt Moore recruited
Played on
him.
a good team and a good league.
Right. Clearly wanted him. You go to
Good counsel.
Good counsel, which is usually puts out really good football talent. And Matt Moore made the effort to go get him again. Like, I really like this kid. Let's bring him over to Tech and add him. And like you said, yeah, Lucas Austin and him have to develop, but you already have two guys in Altuner and Remack that could potentially be your starters. And now with Bob Schick gone, I mean, this is a totally new line for Virginia Tech, totally new, which isn't a bad thing because they were not good. So we're okay with it. Of course, we're going to miss Chaplin. We're going to miss Braylon Moore a little bit, but I'm excited about the future Matt Moore is bringing, and he continues to add to it. This is one of the problems for these guys he's only 6'3", is putting on the weight to play college. For Crawford, it's going to be not getting too heavy. It's going to be getting stronger and staying at that weight. That's going to be the challenge for him.
Yeah, he's 330. Yeah. And I mean, I feel like the philosophy here with the offensive line building is like, again, Remack is kind of just your set in stone veteran. Like, you know what he is, and he's really good. And the rest is going to be kind of redshirt freshmen, redshirt sophomores, and you're just ultimately going to throw a bunch of them at the wall and see who sticks. And as long as you get 4 to 7 of them to be pretty good, then, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Still need one more, though, and I think they're going to get one.
Yeah, because we're at, if
sure.
my calculations are correct, we're at 13 offensive linemen that are scholarship worthy. I'm not counting the Caleb Nittas of the world. I know Caleb also jumped in the portal, but I'm not counting former walk-ons. 13 scholarship caliber offensive linemen are in the program right now, if you include Crawford and the freshmen coming in. So we need a 14th. We probably even need a 15th, but that might take more time. As it stands, Sam, I feel better about the O-line going into next year.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's I don't know if it will be a great offensive line or if it'll be a very good offensive line, but I think it will still be a area of improvement for this team. And again, like Matt Moore, he's had a good offensive line everywhere he's been every single year. You feel like they're going to, coaching wise, take a step up. Talent wise, I think they're pretty neutral. And so you feel good about that. Again, though, like there are still 3 or 4 players who have been in this program a couple years now where you're like, okay, like if they're going to take the next step, this is the year to take the next step. And, they haven't taken it yet. There's some of these guys just need to take that next step or get out of the way for some of these younger guys. Right. And I think Virginia Tech, especially on the offensive line, has had a trouble in the past with moving on from guys who clearly aren't going to take that next step. And just because they're a year or two older, they get the starting nod over a guy. And I think Tech is in a spot now where you just need the 5 best guys to play, whatever age they are. So I think it's going to be an improvement. I hope they're also looking to the future as well, though, because we're not playing for, let's face it, this is not a team that's playing for an ACC title right now. Like, you're trying to build something for the future here, especially on the offensive line.
Did you brought this back up on the screen? Did you, Sam?
Yeah, I was just looking at it because not a lot of offensive linemen on that list, guys.
There weren't many.
I mean,
there's not many
Terez
left.
Davis was going to be a long shot too. So,
well, you know what I am seeing a lot of is linebacker, and I'm not seeing any green. It's a lot of red in the linebacker category. Clearly, we are looking for one.
Yeah. I think Campbell's a pipe dream, but I mean,
that would be sick.
There's a sliver of hope that only one of those. They've pushed 2 linebacker visits back, canceled one, and
they canceled Machado,
and they pushed 2 back. And the I think it's Murphy. I think he's the one that's visiting. That visited today or yesterday.
Yesterday,
So-
according to the chart.
Yeah, and then Miller's today.
I mean,
It'll just be interesting.
shout
if
out to
they,
Colby for putting this thing together, by the way.
Yeah, legend. I think because Campbell hasn't taken any visits at all, I have a sliver of hope that it's like gone stealth mode on him.
Okay.
I mean,
Um,
also, this team did get Jordan Bass. And
They
I
did.
think because of the off the field issues / injury, we've kind of forgotten about him, but he is a transfer portal guy that they brought in who was a 4-star recruit.
yeah, they're concerned about his weight though. He's dropped to like 205. He was 230. What
I
he
mean,
was
what
at
are we
Bears.
not concerned about with Jordan
Yes,
Bass
true.
at this point, to be
I mean,
honest?
can he eat
They
something?
did
For
get
Christ's
a guy.
sake.
It shouldn't
Some
be that hard to get fat in college.
No, come
You
on
would
now.
think.
I did it easily.
I'm still doing it.
Coach Pry, if you
Graduated
need
6 years ago.
somebody,
But yeah,
But,
as far as the portal needs, and I'm gonna pull this down. The portal needs that are left, linebackers clearly on the list. Wide receiver seems to be on the list as an area. And you mentioned the Hawaii kid. Corner, with the Josh Clark news that's kind of come to light that he's going to miss the season. That's an addition that we might need to make as well. If you guys had to choose one position to add, we've got a D lineman, we got an O lineman. You can add one position. It could be one of those again. What do you want to add, Sam, going into 2025?
linebacker,
Linebacker.
150% linebacker.
What is that?
at this point?
Because you're concerned about the starters or you're concerned about the depth?
Both.
Okay. All right.
yeah, I think I have to agree, but I also am just very curious to see if it was the coaching. Very curious to see if the linebacker play improves in general and the scheme changes. I'm very
With the
interested.
new DC. Yeah.
With the new DC, I'm very interested to see if we go with who we have, and it's like, holy crap, what has happened?
And
But,
Brett, those guys are playing the same position now for multiple seasons in a row,
Yeah.
which we haven't had linebackers that have done that in the last
Yeah.
few years.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
Woodson's going to be a star, no pun intended.
He's a stud.
Yeah.
He's a stud.
Hopefully that's what we all think and what we all hope. What about
just
you, Rob? What do you want to attack in the portal if you had to choose one?
Corner. And I certainly understand the linebacker concerns and share them, but I feel like we're so thin at corner.
We are. We also
And
had
very
Now,
young.
now we are. I know. I
And-
like Josh Clark a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, you have Lovett and Thomas Williams, who both had some good reps last year, but neither of them was a starter last year. You're replacing two all ACC caliber corners in Strong and Delane, and it's like is Lovett especially ready to take that step to be like your number one lockdown guy? I hope so, but it'd also be nice. I guess we have Brown Murray as well, but I know he's battling some injuries and.
Christian Ellis is out. I don't know how long.
Right. And they brought in a bunch of like safety types, which is great, but like I still feel like they could have addressed corner a little bit more. So I'd like to see that.
Yeah, unless Joseph Reddish is going to come in and be ready to start, I think we're going to.
Well, he's a
He's a
D2 player,
safety.
so my guess is no.
So
Yeah,
they just
Shout out Wingate though.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
they just
the
showed
Colts.
a clip of
Bulldogs.
Tyler Warren's family sitting in their living room. What could have been? We're going to talk about Hokies that could have been.
But now in Virginia.
Atlee Raider.
He's a beast, and he looks like he's going to be a Colt. He just got drafted by the Colts,
Yeah.
right?
Did they
Wow,
retire 44 in Indianapolis?
Oh, that's a great question. I got to look that up.
Dallas Clark? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they retire 44? If they didn't, that's going to be awesome.
No.
He's
Yeah,
so
and usually they
awesome.
retire the jerseys and not the numbers, right? So
They've retired Peyton Manning, Johnny Unitas, few old guys, Raymond Berry. Yeah, old
Dude,
guys.
44.
Have they
running
retired
back
like
in
Reggie Wayne?
Indianapolis? That's
No.
gonna be
this
incredible.
could
will.
Freeney?
I mean, I doubt anyone is wearing 87 or 88 yet. They'll
Could,
retire those, but
could Warren single-handedly save Anthony Richardson's career?
No.
No, no. And here's like one thing about Tyler Warren that he's such a beast, but like like you're the whole like big, strong, work harder than you thing works in college, and then we see a lot of those guys, and they get to the NFL, and it's like, oh crap, you mean
Everybody
everyone
does that.
here is really big and strong and plays really hard? Like, I think he's going to be really, really interesting.
I just
rooting
think like
for him
he was
because
the
he's a
best
Richmond guy,
player
but-
by far on a semifinal team. Like he was their everything. I know.
Oh,
well,
see, they got a
offensively. I know Abdul Carter was on the team as well, but when they needed something on offense, it was Tyler Warren's show, and I just don't think that's going to go away in the pros.
He'll say
I think he's going to have
his
more
career.
I think.
Ooh.
I think.
Danny
I think
Dimes,
he might have
baby.
more like a Kyle Juszczyk kind of career, like in terms of. I think he's a better pass catcher and route runner than Juszczyk because Juszczyk's like a fullback, but I could see him being like a novelty player like for a long time.
I mean, you could say who's the NFL comp right now?
There isn't one. I mean, I think it's
Warren?
Juszczyk. There isn't. It's to me. It's Kyle.
I see what Danny
Juszczyk.
Kelly put.
I would have said
tight-
like Kittle
tight-
or something. I
Is it
don't know.
Kittle? Like that's kind of who I thought
No.
of, like Kittle.
No
but like, no, he
way.
doesn't. He doesn't have the length that Kittle has.
He doesn't move quite like
He's
that.
not. He's built. He's not built like a.
What about like
modern-day
what
tight
about
end.
Goddard?
No, Goddard lines up on the outside. Just but he like Warren.
Well, so
if
does
you
Warren.
watch- I guess Warren
He doesn't
does
move
too.
like.
But Warren plays like that. He kind of plays that H back role, like that Dalton Keene played.
Yes,
That's like-
yeah.
that's like
I mean,
where
he's
he's-
a
that's-
do it all. He
That's
is.
really where he's good, is that H back role because he can block so well. So that's why like I just keep for some reason Kyle Juszczyk in my head.
I just don't think he will be. He can't not be a good pro.
no,
Like,
I think he will be.
He's a good player. I don't think he's like a 850-yard like tight end,
Tight end.
receiving.
Yeah,
tight
I
end,
don't think so.
You
either.
know,
I almost think I'm trying to think about it more, and I tried to look up what Danny Kelly from the Ringers comp was because he has some good ones, but he said
does have some good ones.
shades of Andy Reid punt pass kick champion, and I have no idea what that means.
A novelty play, like a novelty.
Are you
player.
familiar with the picture, Rob, of that
No.
Andy Reid? No, you're not.
look,
Okay.
Google right now.
Yeah, you have
Andy-
to Google it.
Uh,
It's Andy Reid when he's 12 in the punt passing.
oh
kick
wait, yeah, and
competition.
he's like,
and he's
enormous.
just
Okay, yeah, yeah,
absolutely
yeah. I've seen
gigantic
that.
compared
Yeah,
to everybody else.
But I almost think like to talk about the role he's playing and everything, to me, it's almost like if you took Taysom Hill and he gained 50 pounds.
Yeah, that's,
yeah. Taysom
yeah.
Hill, I think, is the best comp.
Right.
And
no,
Taysom Hill,
bigger,
I agree.
slower Taysom Hill.
is working to a point.
Did you listen to any of the Ringer draft pods, Rob? Like some of the lead ups?
Yeah, intermittently. Yeah, I actually listened to their thing on Tootin today, which was awesome. Danny Kelly loves that guy, which is great.
Yeah, has him as the 69th ranked overall prospect. If you go by him, that will be the first Hokie taken, but hard to say who it's going to be. I think it's extremely challenging to actually handicap who the first Hokie taken will be. We tried, and I'll put up the panel one more time. Couple differing opinions here, with Sam going with Tootin, me going with Strong, Irby going with Lane, and Brett also going with Strong. So he agrees with me. I just felt like Strong was the safest pick. The highest upside, I think, is Tootin.
Yeah, I think they're like if there's a team that's going to be like, oh, we want to draft a guy early, it's going to be Tootin. Like we want to be like, if a team finds somebody,
They just love the speed, or the
like
tackle breaking, or whatever it is.
I think Lane falls in that category too, but I think I
Yeah.
went safe with Strong just because the history, and it's like not that matters, but emotionally, I think it does a little bit.
So
Yeah,
what I
no,
wanted to do, I didn't review my beer, Sam. I'm drinking the Autoplay by Iron Hill. Let me get this off the screen. Iron Hill is pretty well known in Pennsylvania, Delaware. They actually started in Delaware, but they have a lot of restaurants and brew houses in the tri-state area now. And this Autoplay is a tropical American IPA, meaning it's not a hazy and it's not a West Coast, but it is tropical and it's kind of in between the two of those. You get the bitterness, 5.6%, so not very strong, but a lot more flavor than you get out of a session. The Autoplay Tropical American IPA from Iron Hill. I would recommend this thing. I'd probably I'd go 3.75 at the least. I do like it. It's good, but maybe slightly too bitter for my taste. Rob would probably really like it though.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go
All right.
375 for the mango wheat.
Okay.
And my second beer of the night is from Sycamore in Charlotte.
Nice.
This is the Honeysuckle Summer Ale.
Ooh, I've heard good things.
That's a
Pretty
great
cool
can.
It's a great can. Looks very summery. It smells great. Like it smells like a candle. It's incredible. Not a ton of flavor, like a really, really small honey and maybe vanilla flavor to it.
Ooh.
But it's really light on its feet. I'm trying to get the stats on here. 5.3% alcohol. Yeah, but it's very much the golden ale, light, fruity, a little bit of honey, but really, really subtle.
So
if
you
you're
can
looking
get
for like a casual one, good one.
You can get Sycamore in the stores near you, Sam.
Yeah, so I actually went to Kroger looking for some Great Lakes for the Browns, get some Cleveland stuff on there. It said on their website it was here, but didn't have it. So I can get Sycamore up here. Yeah, I can usually find Charlotte brewery beers in this area, but I don't know if you guys have felt this too, but definitely this area of Virginia have not been able to get many New England or Midwest breweries in grocery stores.
Total Wine.
Haven't really found them. Yeah, Wegmans too has a good selection, but Wegmans is more like international now, I feel like, is where a lot of their stuff is from.
Wegmans stresses me out, so I don't go there.
So, yeah, just for the listeners' sake, Brett and Sam are both in the 757. Robert's in Charlotte, and I'm in the Northeast in South Jersey. But we don't get Sycamore up here. We do get Hardywood in a lot of the stores and outside of Philadelphia. So I can get Hardywood in my local store, which is pretty cool. So when GBS is out, I can grab that.
Yeah,
they don't
so
get all
the big
This
three.
is the perfect time to talk about the Steelers and what they're going to do here, because a lot of people have been earmarking Shedeur Sanders, most notably Peter Schrager, but other people have talked about the link between the two. Will the Steelers trade up? Will they be able to sit there and get Shedeur Sanders at 21? As a Steelers fan, witnessing what they've done at the quarterback position the last few years, Robert, what do you want them to do at 21? Do you think this smoke around Shedeur Sanders is real?
Yeah, I mean, I do want them to go QB. I just think at this point the waiting game for Aaron Rodgers just isn't worth it anymore, because he's not that kind of quarterback anyway. And I think you already have that veteran kind of just like placeholder guy in Mason Rudolph, where it's like, Mason Rudolph can go out there and play like 5 games and, might win you 3 of them. And it's like, whatever. And then we throw the rookie in there. I prefer Dart to Shedeur personally. I think that the ceiling for Dart is much higher, while I think the floor for Shedeur is higher. And I just like the ceiling more because ultimately he has a stronger arm and he's probably faster than Shedeur as well. But I'm not going to be disappointed if they take Shedeur. I mean, at this point, like, he was projected to be a top 5 pick at one point, and if he slides all the way to 21, like, the upside is good enough given the circumstances. That's pretty good. So if they don't go QB, I would love to see them take Amari and Hampton for North Carolina, because they have nothing at running back right now. So
yeah, I agree with you on the Dart upside being higher than Shedeur. Sam, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the athletic ability is one thing. Like, he is not a quarterback who's going to scramble around. You're not really going to run designed runs with him. I also think in a league that is becoming so pass rusher heavy, and also in a division that is very pass rusher heavy, do you want a quarterback who has a tendency to sit in the pocket and take a lot of sacks?
yeah.
Like, is that going to be a guy who's going to be successful his rookie year, his second year? Like, I don't know about that. And so you have to weigh those things as much as the player themselves. Like, who am I going up against? Who do I currently have on my team? Because, Robert, like, I don't think the Steelers' offensive line is like very good, really. And that's been part of their problem here. And so, like, do you want to combine a not great offensive line with a quarterback who has a tendency to hold the ball? Probably not.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they had some injuries last year on the offensive line, but ultimately they did lose Dan Moore, who was their tackle, and he signed a $20 million contract elsewhere. So that is a deficit there. I see where you're coming from because I think that makes a lot of sense. But I think that if you're the Steelers right now, you kind of it's a shit or get off the pot kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you need
And, like,
somebody, right?
right. And
Yeah.
what are the alternatives here? Aaron Rodgers can't move. Kirk Cousins can't move. Mason Rudolph never could move. Like, what do you get? What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
At least Shador is like young enough to like
Yeah.
be somewhat mobile.
You're absolutely right, because it might not be the perfect situation. It might not be the perfect QB class, but you need something. You need a player
Yeah.
that at least you can start the idea of building around. And Shador has big time playmaking ability. And he has, there's a certain floor with Shador, like you said, that is at least intriguing. It's a better floor than you have with Mason Rudolph or maybe even a Russell Wilson, who you've been relying on in years past. So I don't hate the pick. I think the idea of Dion trusting in Tomlin with his son, that makes a little sense in my head. But they need so much. The Steelers need more than just a QB. I mean, that would help greatly. But the defense was really good last year. So if you can get some competent QB play, maybe you could win a playoff game for the first time in a while.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers' MO has been last year they had the most expensive defense in the league and they had the cheapest offense in terms of cap spending. I'm pretty sure like Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, and Minka took up like over 40% of their cap. And so that's just what they're building it on. Like they believe that those three players are going to be like Ring of Honor retired number kind of guys.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, the Metcalf trade was a trade that I've never seen the Steelers make a trade like that, to be honest, to leverage that much draft capital for a player like that and give him a huge extension. That is very anti-Steelers. So to me, that tells me that they are buying in and trying to fix this offense because they know that ultimately that's what's held them back. Like TJ Watt and Hayward and those guys have deserved a better offense than they've gotten in their careers. And that's ultimately what's been, the Achilles heel. So, I mean, I think
actually really like the Shador pick. Now I'm really thinking about it. Like I kind of love it.
I think like
it's what you have to do. It might not be the
it's not a
optimal
bad
move,
pick,
but it makes sense.
It's not a bad pick, but it is a like if the Steelers want a chance to win in the next 2 or 3 years, they're not going to do it with a quarterback who's currently on the free agent market.
So Brett, you're looking at where the commies are picking, what they need. We talked a little bit about their wide receiver needs and whatnot. What do you want them to do with this 29th pick as it stands right now?
It's interesting. I've said it a couple times. Outside of the first round, the commies fall. The Virginia Tech players fall almost exactly to what the commie needs in the exact rounds they would probably take them outside of the first round. So to me, I think they got to look for. I mean, obviously, improvement in secondary. That was horrendous last year. Defensive line, I mean, Shamar Stewart, I didn't love that pick, but I could see why they did it. But now he's gone, so it'll be interesting to where they go from there.
There's plenty of D-line options.
Yeah, there are plenty of D-line options. It's tough. I think this pick to me is the hardest pick for them. Is this first round pick? I think they can really gain a lot of ground in the later rounds. I think between offensive line, even though they beefed it up a little bit.
They did well in the offseason.
Yeah, on the offensive line. I think, but like before going into the offseason, I think everybody's like, we need to draft offensive line. But I think it's tough. I think a lot of people were going with I don't know. I've sat on it a lot.
Like Pierce will be there, right?
Yeah, Pierce will be there. What does McShay had?
Mike Green.
Mike Green, maybe. I just the one thing I remember about Mike Green is his competition to play. He was so good against okay competition.
I didn't think he looked that good even against Tech.
I mean, he did it. I mean, he had 18 sacks. He had 17 and a half sacks, though. I mean, that's nuts.
Crazy.
Well, Ezaraku didn't look good against Tech either.
Yeah,
that's true.
So, I mean, I just It'll be interesting. I think Pierce probably is good just because he's an edge guy. We need an edge rusher. I mean, I like Mike Green too. I worry about his competition. Has Will Johnson gone yet? He's probably going to go right here. The Seahawks, maybe.
He has not gone yet.
I really love Will Johnson at safety. Or to defensive back. I'm going to go with Emmanuel Wari. I think he's 6'3", 220, playing
He's
safety.
great.
I think they need losing Jeremy Chin. They got Will Harris, but I don't love the idea of Will Harris. I think they could play together. I think they need another open space tackle or another person as an enforcer. If they don't go defensive back, and I think Barron was the defensive back pick because I think they might be able to get like Trey Amos in the second round. They might they don't have a second round pick. They have a third round pick. I don't know. It'd be tough.
That's another thing. The listeners, there's only 5 picks for the Commanders. Only 5.
Yeah. So
right now,
not having a second round pick really does kind of screw them in terms of getting a defensive back. I think because there's a few that'll go in the second round. I think Hairston from Kentucky, Trey Amos, Quincy Riley. There's several guys that'll go in the second round. So
all right. Well, we're gonna cut this off in just 1 second. For the Eagles, I'm gonna say JT Tui Molau.
Wow,
whatever.
I would have mailed it in with
Molotov.
an easier guy.
I mailed it in. I should have studied like I'm Evan Hughes over here. JT Tuimualau from Ohio State. That's who I think the Eagles will take if they actually draft.
And he's going to be the best defensive end you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
And never get injured.
I mean, he's so good.
We need some help at the end. We lost Sweat. We lost Milton Williams in the middle, and we lost Brandon Graham. So
the Eagles do have a lot. Like this happens to every Super Bowl team, but like the Eagles had kind of an exodus on that roster.
There's guys we need to replace for sure on defense, without a doubt. So, JT, that's who I'm going to predict. Any final takes as we kind of close out our draft analysis here? We are going to cut short before the Commanders and Eagles pick.
Do we think it is? Do we think
Shador
Shador gets drafted?
Shador first round? I think he gets drafted first round. I feel like someone's going to trade up and take him.
Yeah, it'd be a good spot for the Commanders to get something, trade up, and
you know what?
At the end.
I'll throw something crazy out here. The Steelers, and this is not going to happen, but I'm just going to, you wanted a wild prediction. The Steelers are going to trade George Pickens and some capital for pick 31 and take a quarterback from the Chiefs.
Ooh. They're going to trade Pickens to go get a quarterback.
Yes.
I saw something that Pickens unfollowed the Steelers on Instagram.
And for the record, I do not want them to trade George Pickens because that feels pointless.
That's a dog.
I love George Pickens, dude. Some Steelers fans hate him. I freaking love him. And it's nice to have more than one wide receiver, but I don't know. People think it could happen. So,
I mean, if you have a good wide receiver, they are undoubtedly a diva. That's just how it is. And AJ Brown, everyone thinks like eventually he's going to end up with Vrabel on the Patriots. When we got AJ Brown, it changed everything for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like absolutely everything. He's not a guy that you get easily or trade away. And I'm not saying Pickens is him, but it's a similar mindset in that I'd be hesitant to trade someone like that.
Well, to me, he's almost more like Devonta Smith in that scenario, I feel like.
Well, I guess so. Now
because
that you have Metcalf.
Right. Like if we're looking at it from the Eagles perspective, like Metcalf is that guy you bring in, that behemoth that demands all this attention, and Pickens is kind of that slim deep threat that can just kind of
Slim Pickens.
Slim Pickens. He can just kind of, cut his way through the one-on-one coverage and really stretch the field.
I just feel like if you're gonna go get a quarterback, give him every opportunity to succeed, meaning keep them both.
I'm not saying it's a good move. I'm just saying you wanted a wild prediction.
Yeah.
Here we go.
It could happen for sure. For sure. All right, Sam, anything before we close out here?
I think the Browns are going quarterback with their next pick, wherever that next pick is. I think it's going to be Shador or Jalen Milroe.
God, Jalen Milroe and the Browns would be so funny.
Who would wear number 4?
All right. Well, make sure you guys are subscribed to the Sons of Saturday YouTube channel if you've managed to stay with us. If you did make it to the end, put the word draft in the comments. If you stayed all the way to the end watching us, you're crazy and we love you. And this was a fun episode. Me and Rob will do it again potentially for the NBA draft in a couple months. But we love doing this, trying to weave in some Hokie stuff into the draft stuff. And we were hoping to make it to the end of the first round, but it's just taking too damn
this
long.
thing is this is so
Bedtime.
slow. I don't know what is going on, man.
But we love the fact that this year we have a few more Hokies that have potential, and maybe next year we'll have some more potential. JT draft. We got a comment. I like it. Thank you, JT. Maybe next year we'll be seeing someone like Kamari Copeland, Cam Selden, Aiden Green, Kyron Drones potentially be drafted.
Manifest it.
Maybe Caleb Woodson decides to have such a good year that he has to leave early. That would be awesome. And until next time, go Hokies.
Go Hokies.